Championship weekend at Phoenix Raceway coming up the first weekend of November for the second straight year. Of course, having another championship event in the Valley is always great to stack on top of one another as we have more football championships, basketball championships right now in summer, and plenty more in the Valley. I am Devin Henry, your host here on the Inside Lane, and to get us ready for the rest of the NASCAR season and, of course, NASCAR Championship weekend, joining us on the Inside Lane, he is the 2016 Southeast Limited Late Model Series Pro Division champion, the 2008 Supernova Junior League champion, and the victor of the 2020 Saturday Night Thunder iRace at Dover. He is the driver of the Front Row Motorsports number 38 Ford Mustang. From Ridgefield, Connecticut, it's Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo. Anthony, thanks for joining me.
Of course, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. I know you just had a really big weekend. It wasn't the finish that you want, but I'm sure having a little bit of family around you and being able to be a NASCAR Cup Series driver at your NASCAR home track was a pretty big deal this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun to come home and have that much friends and family, that many of them there at the track. It was definitely not the weekend we wanted, but you'll have that in racing. It was still a great show for the fans at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and after a few weeks, we'll be able to come back, race at Watkins Glen, another track not too far from home. So anytime we come in the Northeast, it's pretty special for me, and I really enjoy coming up here and racing, especially at the national level. It's a blessing.
And for some reason, a lot of you guys in the Northeast continue to work your way to the top ranking of NASCAR. You got Joey Logano, Ryan Preece, yourself, among others, stepping up. Honestly, the Northeast is becoming a NASCAR hub if it wasn't already with guys like Ken Squire and all the guys of the past. But this past weekend, you got to add your name to the list of guys who made it to the top level of NASCAR from the Northeast. And while I know it's great to have your family there, I know it's not Connecticut, it's pretty close, it's still your NASCAR home track, but what did that mean to you to officially add your name to that list of amazing drivers who have been at New Hampshire, at that home track, at the top level of the sport?
It's surreal, honestly. This whole year has just been incredible. I'm so fortunate to do what I love for a living and be in the position I'm in. I just have a lot of great people around me and a lot of people to thank. Obviously, my friends, family, supporters, all our partners, Front Row Motorsports, and all the other teams I've driven for, and everyone who's taken a chance on me to help me get here. So nowhere near where I want to be yet, but this is one step closer for sure. And it's been pretty special.
And it's all about putting in that work and grinding. And this is your first full season of any of NASCAR's top 3 national touring series. So for you, you have one teammate. You guys don't have that Hendrick, Roush, Stewart-Haas kind of equipment. But for you, what has been the bigger lessons that you've learned so far this year?
Just the level of competition and how to execute a race properly and be able to put a race together start to finish, whether that's restarts, pit road, and all those things that add up, because obviously everyone on the track at this level is so close on speed and so competitive. It's really hard to pass and things like that. And there's not a whole lot in your control on the track. So it comes down to things like the restarts and the pit road and things of that nature that you have to maximize that can definitely make a big difference in your day.
And obviously being in the Cup Series, it's a very large time commitment from the sponsors to the team to it not just being Sunday. A lot of people don't understand. It's not just Sunday. It's a week-long endeavor being in the NASCAR Cup Series week in and week out. Yet you end up putting in a major commitment to gaming. You're a competition director for Exec Gaming's iRacing team, large role at Lockdown Racing, and you're racing for a championship every single week in the playoffs with Monday Night Racing. Obviously, iRacing has become such a large facet of what NASCAR is and how they invest in it as well. But for you, you invest a ton of time into iRacing while you're at the top level. So why is iRacing in that community a priority for you?
Well, that's a great question. When I started racing, I was really big into gaming. I've always followed esports very closely, and iRacing was that bridge that went across the gap between motorsports and gaming, right? And although it may not be on the same level of mainstream esports like some of these FPS games and more, we do see it grow in popularity, especially here recently through the pandemic and with NASCAR endorsing it. So it's been great to see them get the exposure they deserve, because they played a tremendous role in my career. Obviously, when I started racing, not just the bridging that gap between the gaming industry and the motorsports industry, but more importantly, for me as a driver, it's been a legitimate training tool. I've climbed the ranks and gotten more experience, and just continued to try to get some sort of supplemental seat time in years like this where there's no practice and no qualifying. So it's been a big role, and obviously I've made a lot of great connections. And you mentioned I've taken a more significant role in that side of things with some of these teams, which has been really unique and something I've always wanted to do.
And you look back to Monday Night Racing, and you had Scottsdale, Arizona's own giant eyeballs and big old face David Schildhouse on your car. And you've been streaming for a long time, as what's pretty obvious now. You have been a large part of the community for a long time. But when it comes down to your growing success in NASCAR, what has it been like being part of the iRacing community, and then you're going up the NASCAR ranks as well? How has that kind of changed your view in the community and how others view you as well?
It's been really cool. And I think one thing that's pretty interesting is actually a lot of my fans on the track don't even know what I do off the track on Twitch and streaming, and vice versa. There's a lot of people who discovered me on Twitch before they ever maybe watched a real NASCAR race or knew I was even a driver. So it's been pretty cool to introduce both them to obviously my career, and be able to kind of race virtually, not just in real life, and maybe race with fans and live stream these events, meet a ton of other great people from the community. As you mentioned, David Schildhouse and I had a fun little wager, and I ended up with his face on my car that I almost won in. So that was pretty cool. And just all things like that. The community is pretty tight knit, very family oriented, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Chatting with Anthony Alfredo, the driver of the number 38 Front Row Motorsports Ford Mustang. And now let's kind of get into the real questions, what people actually want to hear about. You have a shoe collection. It might not be like enormous NBA player, but you like to collect shoes. And when it comes down to collectors, it's not just this shoe, that shoe. There are certain things that people say, this is why it's part of my collection. So for you personally, when you are collecting shoes, what makes a piece significant to your collection? Is it the designer, the stitching, the manufacturer? What makes a shoe an Anthony Alfredo shoe in your book?
Well, you see, there's a few boxes back here. There's a lot I came home to that I forgot I even had, because at my apartment back in North Carolina, I've got quite the collection going on. But more recently, in probably the last 3 years or so, I would say I've mainly only collected Adidas shoes, whether that's Yeezys, Ultra Boost, NMDs. All of them are super comfortable. And I've had a lot of shoes I really liked as far as the style, but weren't very comfortable. And the Adidas lineup, they have a lot of shoes that not only look really fresh, but they're really comfortable and feel good. So that makes it that much better. And, you're able to walk around in them all day, but still look good.
Gotta love it. Gotta love you showing them off every now and again. I do want to move back onto the track, though, real quick, because you are teammates to Arizona's own Daytona 500 champion, Michael McDowell. So before I let you go, I have to find out, what is Michael McDowell like as a teammate?
He's been a great teammate for me. Obviously, me being a rookie in the Cup Series, to have someone with as much experience as he has throughout his racing career, but even just in the Cup Series, it's been very beneficial and very valuable to me to be able to lean on him and learn from him, just ask him questions. And we get along really well on and off the track, which makes it that much easier.
So before I cut you loose, I got to do a segment with you. I do with every driver. It's called Quick Time. Got some rapid-fire questions for you. Looking for some rapid-fire answers in return. Anthony, you ready to set quick time?
Yep.
All righty, first and foremost, your favorite track to race at regardless of the car?
Homestead, Miami Speedway.
Nice, ripping the lip, but why exactly Homestead, Miami Speedway?
Oh, I love running the fence, and that's probably the best place to do it. It's fast, efficient, and such a good time. It's definitely my favorite thing to do in a race car. Plus, the surface is worn out, so it doesn't get much better than that. You got the best of both worlds.
So everyone knows that you're fast pasta. Everyone knows that you love pasta. But what is your favorite pasta dish?
Penne alla vodka.
All righty. For those who don't know what that is, walk us through it a little bit.
All right, well, it's just vodka sauce on penne, really, and adding some grilled chicken to it. Super good. Everyone always expects me to say fettuccine Alfredo, and although I do like that, it's not my favorite.
It'd be almost too basic at that point. And of course, you have a great Italian heritage. What a part the Italian history, though, heritage, maybe even your family history, is something that you'd like to read up, maybe learn a little bit more about?
Honestly, just probably more so about my family and some of my ancestors I'd love to learn more about. I know the story of how my ancestors came to America from Italy, but I think it'd be really cool to maybe track down some like long distance relatives that may still live there or something like that.
And speaking of tracking down, how about your favorite NASCAR city to travel to, whether it's about the track or everything away from the track?
That's a really hard question, but I don't know why the first one I think of is Texas. Probably just because I love the barbecue.
I do not blame you one bit. All right, last one for you. Your most memorable iRace that you've ever taken part in?
Ooh, I'd probably have to say the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series race I won in the Saturday Night Thunder series, just because that was arguably my biggest win against real life drivers, but it was on a very big broadcast and things like that. Although I have won some pretty neat events against pro iRacers who are arguably even more competitive and harder to beat than some of the real life drivers on the Sims. So there's a few up there, but I will say the Pro Invitational win was pretty special.
And I'm sure doing stuff with XSET and Lockdown, when you get to race with them, and you kind of get to show the guys who are pros on there what it's like to be a pro in real life, I'm sure that's pretty enjoyable for you. Anthony,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a blast
fun,
talking
but sometimes,
to you,
man, sometimes these guys are showing me tricks, so it's hard to beat them. I think I'm beating up on them, and then all of a sudden they just blow my doors off when I'm trying my butt off. So they've been really helpful though in making me a better iRacer and teaching me some of those tips and tricks.
Well, Anthony, it's going to be fun watching you in the Monday Night Racing playoffs. Their cutoff race is going to be next week in Nashville Super Speedway, next Monday night on Podium Esports. And, of course, I love the Italian history. My great-grandparents were Italian. They came from Italy, but yours are a little bit more recent, I think, than my great-grandparents were coming to America. But in celebration for this interview, I'll be having some Big Ziti tonight, so thank you for the interview. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. And, of course, best of luck once we come back from our Olympic break here in NASCAR.
Thank you so much.
This is the Inside Lane on Sports 360 AZ, getting you ready for championship weekend at Phoenix Raceway.